Even though a food might be traditionally seen as healthy, it doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. And if you struggle with thyroid, gut, and autoimmune issues, you need to be aware that there's going to be certain environmental compounds and stressors that are normally well tolerated, but might not work well with your body. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a little known group of plants called nightshades, how they interact with your physiology, and how removing them from your diet might allow you to take the next step in your healing journey. Of course, most of you know the drill by now. I post videos every single Thursday. If you've been learning a lot and enjoy the topics we've covered, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That way you know when I post new content. My name is Dr. Bodle, and I specialize in helping women with Hashimoto's and low thyroid to lose weight and improve their energy naturally. And a key component to doing so is making sure that we individualize someone's dietary plan for their specific needs. While there are some general nutritional principles that most of us can follow, a key part of supporting our thyroid healing involves digging into the nuance. So if you've already made some changes and haven't seen full resolution in your symptoms, taking things to the next level, so to speak, might be an area that you want to explore. And part of that can be assessing and looking at how your body interacts with nightshade vegetables. Now, even though most people aren't familiar with the term nightshades, many people are aware of the vegetables that fit into this family of plants, including things like white potato, tomato, tomatillos, bell pepper, spicy peppers, paprika, and eggplant. While that group might seem a little bit random, many of these plants share the capacity to be able to create a protein derivative compound called alkaloids. Alkaloids have been used for thousands of years and are still used to this day to make things like medicines, drugs, and even poisons. When we look at the original purpose of alkaloids, it was likely an adaptive defense mechanism by plants to prevent being eaten by herbivores. And overconsumption of these compounds could lead to gastrointestinal disorders like diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and gut pain, or neurological disorders like cognitive changes and headaches. In fact, one well-known alkaloid due to its use in cigarettes, nicotine, which is also found in very small amounts in eggplant, tomatoes, potatoes, and peppers, was historically used as an insecticide due to the well-known neurotoxic effects that it had on insects and bugs. And of course, I'm not suggesting that these compounds are going to have the same effect on you as they would an insect. And to help provide a little bit of context here, if we look at another alkaloid which is found in potatoes called solanine, we would need to consume 2 to 5 milligrams of solanine per kilogram of body weight to achieve a lethal or toxic dose. But what does 2 to 5 milligrams of solanine per kilogram of body weight actually look like? Well, if we do some quick math and use the averages, if we take someone who is 150 pounds, they would need to consume 238 milligrams of solanine to achieve the median lethal dose. So if we continue to work our way backwards, an average potato is about 173 grams. Each gram contains about 0.07 milligrams of solanine, which means in total, an average potato has about 12 milligrams of solanine. If we compare that to the median lethal dose of 238 milligrams, that means we would need to consume about 20 raw potatoes to achieve that toxic level. Now obviously, no one's going to be eating 20 raw potatoes, and the amount of alkaloid compounds in different nightshade vegetables is going to vary quite dramatically. And by the way guys, I'm pretty sure my math is correct on this, but if you want to double check on me, feel free to do so. When I was originally going through this material for this video, I got down to it and said, 20 potatoes? That doesn't seem like that much. But I think the numbers bear it out. If you have some different ideas on how that might work, feel free to let me know in the comments and we can discuss it further. However, with that said, I think the very fact that some of these plants do have a toxic dose is something to take note of. And if you're someone who has a particularly sensitive system, having some of these compounds, even in smaller amounts, could be problematic for how you feel. as I said at the beginning of the video, just because a food is considered healthy, and even if it was the most nutrient-dense food on the planet, if your immune system doesn't tolerate it, if it's sensitive and creates an inflammatory reaction, then it doesn't mean that it's healthy for you. But let me know in the comments what you guys think so far. Have nightshades been a problem for you in the past? Has removing them from your diet been helpful for you? I would love to know your guys' thoughts. So now that we know more about what nightshades are and their potential for toxicity, let's talk about strategies for addressing some of these problems. If you guys have watched my content before, you'll know that I recommend a whole foods diet not just for people with thyroid issues, but for people in general. However, if you are struggling with thyroid and autoimmune conditions, I think that the further removal of potential immunogenic foods, meaning foods that can irritate our immune system, is warranted and helpful to us. However, if we've already adopted a paleo-style diet, which would include avoiding things like processed sugars and vegetable oils, grains, dairy, soy, and corn, but we're continuing to have symptoms, even some of the ones that I mentioned earlier that could be caused by alkaloids, whether it's digestive symptoms, neurological symptoms, or things like joint and skin issues, then we may want to take things a step further. And this is really the main difference between a traditional paleo-style diet and an autoimmune paleo diet. Not everyone with autoimmunity needs to be on an autoimmune paleo or AIP style diet, but again, for those who are struggling, taking that next step or moving along in the progression may be something that benefits you. To make that next step, I commonly recommend avoiding the less common food sensitivities, which includes things like eggs, nuts and seeds, and nightshade vegetables. It's not necessary for you to remove all three groups of foods, but if you're noticing a pattern around reactions to foods that are made from nightshade vegetables, then that can be a great place to start. Sometimes I get asked the question if you should just take a food sensitivity test to see if you're reacting to any of these foods. And if you check out my previous video on this topic, which I will link for you up above, you'll find out that I'm not a huge fan of these tests. And in fact, if you are reacting to the alkaloid proteins in these foods, those types of proteins are not tested on food sensitivity panels. So even if those results are accurate and valid, these types of proteins won't show up, and therefore there's less validity behind it. The best way to know whether or not nightshade vegetables are a problem for you is by removing them altogether as a group, tracking your symptoms for a period of 2 weeks, and if you notice improvements, you can then reintroduce them one at a time, as there will be some individual variance from vegetable to vegetable. But the better job you do and the more diligent you are with the elimination, the better information you'll get upon reintroduction. That'll allow you to move forward in a successful way, manage your inflammatory load, and do everything you can to optimize your healing. But hopefully you liked today's video and found the tips useful. And if you are looking for a practitioner to support you holistically and help you get to the root cause of your thyroid symptoms, you can send me an email at contact@seattlethyroidhelp.com, which I'll also link in the description box below. And I can get you the information you need to be able to set up a free one-on-one consultation with me to determine whether or not we would be a good fit to work together. Also, if you're using a low carbohydrate or ketogenic approach to support your health, then you have to make sure that your electrolytes are on point. To help you do that, you can grab my free guide at the link below, which is Electrolytes for Hashimoto's and Keto, and it provides an at-home recipe that you can make sure that you're supporting your electrolytes in the best possible way. That's all for today. I hope you guys are having a ton of success as the year continues to move along. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to me. And also, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. My name is Dr. Brad Bodle, and I'll see you next Thursday.